Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. I have had a working weekend, but let's get it going. The owner, a lot of people don't like John D. Rockefeller, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't a pretty huge success that's worthy of taking some lessons from. The way to make money is to buy when the blood is running in the streets. That is what I continue to do. Not too aggressively, but I'm buying as I can and maintaining a good amount of cash. But I said this, 99% of the population can never emotionally understand this, much less do it, which is why they call the wealthy the 1%. If you think about this, think about Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. They have all the sales are in Walmart and all the stores, and all the hordes, they line up to run in that store because things are on sale. But when it comes to investing, all of those same people that are in those lines and get up real early in the morning to try to get a deal on stupid stuff like a TV, those same people think the exact opposite way when it comes to investing, and that is crazy. And that's the reason that 99% of the population is not well off like a John D. Rockefeller. Now, I tell you all that because I keep talking about this. I keep talking about Link2. My understanding is that Monday morning that they're going to be loaded. They've gotten more Ripple private equity on Link2. So be watching. I'm going to put a link in the top of this description. Be watching for that, and watch this video I'm about to show you, folks. Folks, it's not a coincidence that Ripple and some of these companies are displaying strength in the middle of what looks like weakness across the industry. Pay attention to this, folks. Look, this is Naveen Gupta from Ripple. Listen.
That at least in the payment space, the crypto becomes the infrastructure for movement of value, or at least for the majority of the value transfer across the world.
Yeah.
Are we talking 5 years, 10 years, or another 50 years?
Yeah, I think to my mind, 3 years, right? And It's the combination of two things. So it's a combination of players like us, who are laying the infrastructure, laying the pipe, the sewage, the plumbing and everything else. And then second, rise of stable coins.
Rise of stable coins. Now think about what he just said. He just said that Ripple's been laying the infrastructure, the pipes, the plumbing, okay? It's the same freaking thing that John D. Rockefeller did, folks. He laid an oil pipeline across this country. And also, who's the other guy? Vanderbilt? I think he was the one that laid the train tracks across the United States. We are talking about the fourth industrial revolution here, folks, and it's for money. I hope that this really sinks in with everybody, because I've literally made a living out of 4 years of talking about this one thing, because I know what it is. And look, when I die, if I can do nothing but tell my kids and grandkids that I told the world about this freaking Ripple thing, and I told the world about this XRP and XLM and all this, and I fought the good fight and told the story of this thing. I can't force everybody to listen, but we're correct about this, folks. All right, now moving forward, I wanted to show you this. This was another video that was going around of Ripple headquarters in Toronto.
Celebrate their new headquarters downtown Toronto.
I don't know if there's any music there that's going to be copyright, so I'm going to stop it there. I didn't think about that. I got hit with a copyright hit the other day, and it just drives me crazy. If I take this out of the video, you can go and watch it at this guy at CEO mode _. Okay, then I want you to see this. You might remember this guy. He goes by Quincy. I can't remember his last name, but he's a developer. And listen to what he says.
Boom, I mint $1 billion of whatever asset that I would otherwise have sitting in a drawer somewhere as a stock or bond or whatever. Put it on the XTC network. The second I did that, guess what? Nothing would happen. Whoa, what do you mean nothing would happen? Well, that's because you got to do something with that asset first. The asset sitting on the network not doing anything doesn't do anything. But now there are $1 billion worth of tradable assets on the network. So let's say you had $1 billion worth of those assets and you sold all of them. Well, that means somebody out there had to get $1 billion worth of XDC and buy those assets. So what ends up happening is those assets trading on the network will contribute to the demand for XDC to buy those assets. So what ends up happening is when you mint the assets, it may not do anything, but as people trade the assets, it will essentially create more and more demand for XDC because you need XDC to buy the assets. And it works like that with XRP too. So if you want to mint $10 billion on the XRP network and then sold it, well, guess what? Someone needed $10 billion of XRP to buy it, which means the amount of liquidity in XRP would need to increase to accommodate that liquidity demanded to buy those assets in the first place. And then as those assets get traded more and more, because you need the foundational coin to buy the asset and trade the asset, or at the very least you need that to have the maximum amount of liquidity. You can potentially have other assets that you can buy and sell on these networks, but the main native asset's going to have the highest amount of liquidity than any other asset on that network. So XDC will have the most liquidity on the XDC network. XRP will have the most liquidity on the XRP network. It doesn't matter if you print $1 trillion US on there. In order for someone to buy one, they have to use XDC to buy the first one. And this is where a lot of this demand is going to come. So when they won't do anything, but as people buy them, the demand to buy those assets will increase the demand for the token as a whole, meaning that, let's say I minted $1 billion of assets onto the network, and then I just sold it. And the next day it sold again. And the next day it sold again. That's $1 billion of volume that's now onto the network because people are buying these assets that are worth something.
I love this guy. He's a brilliant young guy, and I love his enthusiasm. Enthusiasm will take you a long way, friends. Now, speaking of the opposite of enthusiasm, well, this right here, I think that the message has gotten out, folks. I'm just going to play this for you, and then I'll talk about it a little bit.
The amount of grift by so many of these venture firms in running these sketchy deals where they would put in some amount of money. This is my understanding of the scam because it was explained to me. You put in a little bit of equity at some crazy price, and then you get these tokens, and apparently there's no, you can just sell these tokens day one. And so what happens is you price the equity, but it's meaningless because really what you're getting is the right to get some amount of these tokens. The price is crazy, you sell it, and then you just kind of walk away. And apparently, you do these deals where you just rinse and repeat this thing. Wait till that gets exposed.
I mean,
that seems like
the firm that did this the most is Andreessen Horowitz. Chris Dixon, I think, was considered the best investor last year or the year before because of all these token returns. I gotta wonder when they go, now that people are losing money, that's when people start suing.
The amount of grift.
All right. Now, folks, the only reason they were able to get all those deals is because they got Ethereum the free pass. This is what set in motion all of the token issuance off of Ethereum, and that's what they were getting their hands on earlier than everybody else. That's what these guys are talking about. And I don't even know if these guys have put it together, but don't worry, I put it in front of them. Whistleblower alert, this all happened because the Bill Hinman SEC Ethereum free pass. The chickens are coming home to roost. The SEC ignored us. Congress ignored us, and I'm copying Congress in on that. Then he posted, this guy, who I think is one of those guys, interesting post by David Gerard, makes similar allegations as Chamath. It mentions compound tokens as an example, but isn't fully clear on the details. And if you look here, it says, Web3, a VC-funded gig economy of securities fraud. Their words, not mine. But so then I decided to make that guy aware of this. I gave him our timeline that we've been working on for the last year and putting together. I said, hey, this is how they set up their ability to do it. This is an SEC scandal. This is an Ethereum scandal as well. We've been exposing the timeline for the past year. This is about the SEC versus Ripple. Okay, and I retweeted his. He says, what is the takeaway from the screenshots? And I told him, I said, start at January 24th, 2018, where SEC Chairman Jay Clayton goes and meets with Chris Dixon at A16Z, and you'll see how they got Ethereum designated as a commodity. All these cryptos were issued off of Ethereum. This is how they were able to do it. At some point, somebody's going to jump on this, folks. I would guess some freaking attorneys out there are going to jump on it. Okay, here's another one. Scoop. Anthony Pompliano and Mark Yusko, who are Morgan Creek Capital, are trying to put together an alternative rescue package for BlockFi. Why? FTX's $250 million credit line stood to wipe out BlockFi shareholders, which include Morgan Creek. So these guys are in trouble on their BlockFi investment is what that means. Now, watch this. This is great. We've all seen the famous clip of Tim Draper and Gary Gensler on stage when Tim Draper is saying, the bank, I can hear the banks reeling now, and Gary Gensler, he takes issue with, he's in essence defending who's going to do it as good as JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, okay? He's taking that position. Gary Gensler gets real defensive. Well, in this clip, he gets real defensive about something else. And that is, and what Tim Draper is talking about is Gary Gensler and his buddies, they want to really make the accredited investor rules very tight to keep out all of the hordes. They want it to stay the rich man's game. They want to keep all the major money in this crypto thing, which makes you wonder if he wants to designate XRP as a security so it can be only for accredited investors and institutions. That's part of what I think. Now, watch this. This is Tim Draper. Listen to how uncomfortable Gary Gensler gets.
I like the idea of a government that creates a great platform for everybody to participate equally. I mean, fairly and equally. Because if everybody participates, then they all have a pretty good shot at participating in this. This is going to be the biggest deal in the history of the universe. We have never seen a technology that can potentially affect this many trillion-dollar industries. Never. And this is going to be it. And you want everybody to be able to participate. So if somehow you put a law in there that says you got to be a millionaire to participate, well, that's what the law does say. You know that's what it says. Wait, it is what it says. First say that.
No, it says, no. I
know where you're going. I know where you're going. Okay, I'll let you say it.
Yeah, Gary knows exactly what it says. And it does say that. Just in, Russia's central bank plans to develop a roadmap for the introduction of the digital ruble by Q4 2023. Then there's this. Bitcoin market meltdown prompts fresh warning in China that value of the world's leading cryptocurrency could fall to zero. Bitcoin, which we know is a prototype, Bitcoin is nothing more than a string of digital codes, and its returns mainly come from buying low and selling high, the newspaper said. In the future, once investors' confidence collapses or when sovereign countries declare Bitcoin illegal, it will return to its original value, which is utterly worthless. And then there's this. This is EU crypto regulations that are being worked on right now. I just want you to see the number one here from this guy. Let me see if I follow this guy because I probably need to. All right. The two most important EU crypto regulations to date. MiCA, proof of work ban. That would be Ethereum proof of work and Bitcoin, folks. And that would be Litecoin too, which is proof of work. And it would be, I think Dogcoin is proof of work. All these things are proof of, all the garbage, proof of work. Ban. And unhosted wallets are about to be finalized end of June. They are working, if what this guy's saying is right, they are working on EU regulations, which would be a Bitcoin ban. Now, folks, do you know who said this a long time ago? Do you remember, I'm fascinated by some of these Twitter handles that used to say things, or in this case, Steam It. They used to say things that sounded like they knew something and then they disappeared. Well, Kendra Hill was one of them, and she said, cryptocurrency will be made illegal. Any cryptocurrency aiming to be a decentralized digital currency will not survive. The one that we will use has already been chosen. And up here it says, the illusion is that Bitcoin, for example, is untouchable. The reality is that it is government controlled through the use of mining pools. And then goes on to say that, basically saying that it will be made illegal. But do you know what else Kendra Hill said? There are many of you, there's a lot of you that are new to this space that haven't been around that long. I'm about to show you something that could very well blow your mind if you've never seen it. But it was said. Now, I'm not saying I think that there's a lie going on, but I'm going to show you what she said. If you were to do research on Ripple, the company, and XRP, the token, you would come to the conclusion that the goal is to replace SWIFT as the world's leading cross-border payment provider. What if I was to say that Ripple does not care about cross-border payments and that replacing SWIFT is only a short-term plan? In the digital age, you are able to connect with anyone around the world in seconds. For this reason, using one digital currency would be ideal. Not only is one currency all that is needed, it would be more efficient if we were all use one single currency. So what would happen to a cross-border payment provider when the world is using a digital currency that can be sent from wallet to wallet? The cross-border payment provider is no longer needed. I assume this is all very simple to understand. Yes, the purpose of the blog post is to help you understand. If Ripple was only focused on cross-border payments and nothing else, their success would be short-lived. They knew this before XRP ever existed. Think of cross-border payments as a nice testing ground to prepare Ripple for the use case they have been focused on since the very beginning. The true intentions of Ripple are to handle 100% of the transactions which take place in the derivatives market. So why do they not make this public knowledge? For multiple reasons, the most important one being that they are not ready. They are missing a piece to the puzzle. That piece is called Codius. Some people think that Codius is Flare. I don't know. And when you talk about derivatives, what does that mean? Well, this is an old school chart right here, and this is not scientific by any means. I'll just let you look at it because, folks, I can tell you this. The digital asset investor is not here for an XRP that's below $100. I can promise you that. I am not here for that. Okay? So anyway, just wanted to show you that little chart. You can stare at it for a few more minutes. There's a lot of people that do believe that it's for the purposes of having derivatives on the XRP ledger. And there are a lot of people who do think that there are prices that could go to those places. Remember, folks, and a lot of people say, oh, I'm hoping for, I'd like to at least see, $1 first, that's jumping the gun. Well, here's the thing. All you've watched to this point in the value of XRP, the only thing you've seen with any digital asset is a bunch of speculation. You have not seen utility values. You have not seen all of this stuff turned on yet because it hasn't been ready. They've been laying the infrastructure, and we just saw Naveen Gupta at the beginning of this video tell you that over the next 3 years, this thing is on. And I'm sure it's not going to happen just all at once. So that means that over the next, from now, look, a lot of people are calling all this crypto winter, whatever. Well, I was here back then in 2018 and 19. And guess what? The infrastructure that is now in place, the custody that has been put in place behind the scenes on Wall Street for all the custody of this stuff, PolySign, and all of these custody things, they were not in place back then. We are not, in my opinion, facing some 2-year thing like we were before. I believe this thing's imminent. And we know that this XRP case being over is pretty imminent. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that I believe that it is on like Donkey Kong and it could happen any time in the next few months.